I want to talk about today weathering the storm, holding the line, weathering the storm, because I'm in the process myself of processing some emotions, negative emotions, one would say, challenging emotions. And I want to explain my process to you as I am doing it, have been doing it. Um, we all have issues that come in and out of our life. Things are cyclical, and uh, whatever the issue may be, I'm not going to get into the specifics of mine, but I have emotional reactions to certain conversations, certain topics, and regardless of what it is, because we all have different triggers, we all have different situations and circumstances, whatever may trigger you, you have to be a keen observer of yourself, and you have to become an expert on yourself. There really is no one who knows you better than you. So you have to take the best possible care you can of yourself by protecting yourself with boundaries. Boundaries are extremely important: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Figure out who and what to let in and when. It's all about timing too. Just because someone wants something from you doesn't mean you have to give it to them at all, ever. Maybe you'll feel differently about something tomorrow, but this whole idea that we have to be selfless, and many people hold to that. Oh, I always put other people first. That doesn't make you special. That makes you have no self-esteem. Love thy neighbor as thyself. It starts with you. And the best example is the airplane thing, right? If you're a parent, you put the oxygen mask on yourself so that you can function to take care of your kid, right? You don't put it on the kid first while you pass out, and then you can't help anyone. You can't help anyone if you are not helping yourself. So taking care of yourself first and foremost is of the utmost importance. It is not narcissism. It is self-love. We are all self-centered. You are the center of your world. And when you're healthy and balanced, it's then that you can extend your bounty and your beauty to others, like the sun does, right? The sun radiates outward. But if you have imbalances and you're not functioning properly, you're not radiating at your highest potential. So taking care of yourself, not pretending you're fine when you're not saying yes when you mean no. These are life skills that really are about self-preservation, and then ultimately about thriving, because when you are in the right frame of mind, I'm just looking, is that makeup? Who the heck knows what that is? I don't know. When you are thriving, you are able to give your best to others. So self-care. And the issue of fear, so I woke up very early today, and an issue was sort of gripping me with fear, and you can't sleep. And I wasn't going to get up at 4 in the morning. I've been getting up very early, but I wasn't going to get up at 4. So I was able, through my own process of rearranging my thoughts, I listen to calming meditations at night. Do you know how many people go to bed listening to TV, which is the worst possible thing you could be doing, because you're listening to drama, you're listening to mind-controlled brainwashing is what you're listening to, and it's just, that's not calming to listen to noise. So figure out tools, things that you can do. I'm going to play a little clip of music, I'll link it below, that I find incredibly soothing. Just having this music on automatically changes my mood. So have things like that, places you can go to calm down, to cool off, to go out in nature. I'm in the middle of New York City, so I have to be creative. There's a church nearby I go to calm down, cool down, because it's pretty quiet. There are local parks. They're not private, but I can sit near the river and at least have the air and the elements. Movement is what helps you process. So the movement of air, of flow, of moving your body, even if it's just a walk around the block, if it's going for a bike ride, if it's running an errand, again, break up the energy of frustration. So I was able to transmute the energy of fear that I had this morning and really just put it in its place by thinking of different thoughts of going, it is okay. Everything is okay. Things are always working out for me. I've made it this far. It's not going to end now. I'm not going to drop the ball now after coming through all I've come through in my life. And you know what you've gone through in your life to get to this point. That being said, the Great Awakening is offering us an opportunity, sort of at the 11th hour, to clean up our act in myriad ways. Because, if you were perfect, you wouldn't be here. We all need imbalance in order to function in this world of duality. And it's through problem solving that you grow. If everything was the same all the time, which it's not, you would wither and die. It's through problem solving, and crisis equals opportunity in Chinese philosophy. Every problem helps you reach a higher plateau, and of course from that plateau there's another higher plateau to reach, but it is through being challenged, figuring out how to solve problems. Now, when people don't solve their problems, they have the same one over and over and over again, which is not helpful. And if you're doing it right, it may feel the same and it may feel similar, but if you assess your situation, you may notice your level of mastery, that you may be taking the same class, but it's at a much higher level. So give yourself that credit and consider how far you've come from the last time you faced a similar situation with a similar type of person. And consider that you really are in a graduate course now. Life is a spiral, and we spiral upward, and that is what Excelsior means, ever upward. We live in a spiral galaxy, so movement is key. Movement is the nature of life. If you're not moving forward, you are moving backward. There is no stasis in life. Stasis equals death. So, to find the flow, ringing my chimes. That helps clear energy. Clapping clears negative energy. I went to the gym this morning. I had a great self-directed movement. I'm now my gym instructor. I used to love classes, and now I'm at a gym with just machines, which was never my thing. But based on my budget and based on where I live and what's available in the city for me right now, I'm trying a new gym, which is a challenge for me that I'm now loving. I got a 30-minute free session with a trainer to help me figure out some stuff, and he expanded my horizons. He had me do machines. To me, they're all boy machines, right? They're all big, scary things with contraptions. They all look like medieval torture devices to me, even though he's like, well, there's a picture that shows you what it. I'm like, it's hieroglyphics to me. That's what it looks like. So, but through watching people do movements, I'm sort of sneaking around the gym, figuring out what I could do, and he stretched my boundaries in terms of the machines he put me on. I never in a million years would have put myself on the things he put me on, but now I'm using them and loving the fact that my repertoire has been expanded. So no one wants to do the same thing for your whole life. Edgar Cayce was a great prophet. He was called the sleeping prophet. He lived in the 20th century, earlier, a Baptist. I don't think he got beyond 6th grade education, maybe 8th. Very traditional man, a photographer who discovered through interesting circumstances, you can read the book The Sleeping Prophet by Jess Stern, about his story, that he could go into trance and diagnose people properly at a distance. All he needed was their name and their location, and he could in trance accurately diagnose what medical doctors could not diagnose or help with, and also offer cures, solutions, which may have included some telling a doctor what a doctor could look for that he or she wasn't. Cures. The Association for Research and Enlightenment is in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and has hundreds of thousands of his records. So he started with these health readings, which you can still refer to, what does he advise for this, and, take it into consideration, whether something you might want to try something. they're on the natural side, but he had a full understanding in trance of anatomy. But he expanded ultimately into doing life readings, which freaked him out initially because the energy, the consciousness that was coming through him, which one might say was his own higher self. Who knows what or who it is? I say, listen to the message. If it resonates with you, it doesn't matter if it's coming from God, Jesus. To me, God is everything. And the uniqueness of life and of the entities and of the energies is what makes life and God varied. God came into manifestation to have unique experiences of life through us. So trust your instincts. If the material resonates with you, then try it, then trust it. And if it doesn't feel right, does it matter who said it? What is the value of the word? And we all trust different things. We all believe different things. We all think different things. So you just have to find what's right for you. So initially, when his energy that was coming through him, and it was a different voice from his own, a different personality tone, let's say, it started talking about past lives of patients. And, in this entity's prior life, in one of them, this entity was pushed off a cliff in ancient Egypt and killed, by her ladies-in-waiting, this Egyptian princess. And because her back was broken in that life, we carry scars, psychic, emotional scars, and physical scars from past lives that are sort of a reminder of issues we haven't dealt with yet. So she carried into this lifetime a really bad back, but he tied it with a past lifetime and a death by broken back and by murder. And he told her which vertebrae it was, and the healing energy suggested she go to a chiropractor. And I trust it was helpful. But, it was knowing more about, okay, what are the issues? Betrayal, murder, broken back. I mean, your back is your support. It's just a lot to think about. And as we heal, it's never just the physical. There's always something underneath it. And I was taught as a theosophist. I was raised in the United Lodge of Theosophists in New York City, that by the time something reaches the physical level, it's on its way out, because everything starts at the deepest levels in the occult, in the hidden realms. By the time you can see them, they're on their way out. They're at their easiest level to deal with, no matter how serious the issue may be. And we do have serious physical issues, and sometimes they kill us, and that's how it is. Life is eternal. You leave this body. Some people have said we can have up to 12 parallel lifetimes at the same time. It's possible. I don't know. There could be 11 other versions of me walking around right now on this planet. Probably wouldn't even know who they are. I might not even like them. Who the heck knows? It's all about gathering experience. And again, I'm lifting my mood right now from what it was earlier yesterday and at 4 a.m. by talking about things that make sense to me and that I'm passionate about, which is about healing and about analyzing and processing. So Edgar Cayce withdrew from doing these readings because he was upset. He had to question his source. Was it demonic? He was raised a Baptist. Is this stuff demonic, talking about reincarnation? I don't believe in reincarnation. But because he had a body of work behind him for years and such a great success rate of genuinely helping people where no one else, no medical doctor could, proven, he had to say, and this is how spirit worked beautifully, we'll prove ourselves to him through the physical readings, the health readings, which are verifiable, mysterious, but verifiable. And when he learns to trust this source and this energy and this expansive information, the collective unconscious, the collective consciousness of all of existence, then we can talk about philosophical, spiritual, metaphysical issues, because the source will be trusted by them. So he did come around and give what was called life readings, where he explored issues with people, based on past experiences that tied into the current life. And this is where past life regression can be very helpful to some. I studied past life regression with Weiss. I took a 5-day intensive with him at a mega institute, and it was very valuable. We practiced on each other, just expanding your tool base, your expertise base within yourself. And if one thing doesn't work, just know if you're hitting a brick wall, then look in another direction. Maybe you don't need physical exercise, although, like I say, I'm big on that because I have so much energy. I'm like a hummingbird, and that's part of my role in this great awakening. I realize I hold a very high frequency, and it's my job to learn how to hold it in a balanced fashion while I'm surrounded with people who don't think like I do, who don't vibrate like I do. That's my challenge as a light worker, and we all have different facets of that. But anyway, Edgar Cayce said, "Why worry when you can pray?" And I read that as a kid in one of his books. It may have been There Is a River, is another book about him. Why worry when you can pray? And there's another saying that came into my head, which is pray without cease. Is that biblical? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But every thought is a prayer. And that's another thing to consider. Your thoughts are so powerful, so that if you're rooted in worry and anger, you're literally creating a vortex like a tornado of energy. And guess what happens? Like a tornado, you suck things into it. And you know what you suck into it? You suck like things into it. You suck in more people that irritate you, more people that make you angry, which is why it's so important to learn how to discipline yourself emotionally. And the way you do that is by learning to discipline your mind. You don't stop your thoughts, that's an impossibility, but you can learn to tame your mind. And again, I'm grooving on this music so much, it's so beautiful. It literally, and it may not work for you, but you may have other music or tones that work for you, has a profoundly calming effect on me. And I find when I turn on many videos and listen to some people's voices, it's I don't want to hear the news. I don't want to hear people going like this. I'm chattery enough when I do talk. I spend a lot of my time in silence. But when I do, so, learn to protect yourself. The negative energy that's been trapped in this earth for millions of years is coming up and out. It is processing through us. As you learn to process your own issues daily and gain mastery over yourself, that's all it's about. As you gain mastery over yourself, your frequency rises. This is an ascension process. Your frequency rises. And without even speaking a word, you are now radiating, broadcasting a new vibration, which impacts everyone around you. You are radiating, as I am now, a vibration of peace, of clarity. And I got there right now with you, talking. When I started this video, I was in a lower vibration of agitation, and I'm like, I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it and talk myself through it to show others how I do it. Everyone's process will be different. But it's literally a process, again, of moving away from and transmuting. It's not about ignoring, but it's about transmuting what doesn't feel good. So it could be fear, it could be anger. And as you know, if you focus on it, you can get rooted in it, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And then you fall down a manhole, or you walk into a tree, or someone runs you down with a car. Because when you're in that mindset, you're not going to attract good things. You're not. You attract what you are, which is why it's so important to be vigilant about your mindset. Why worry when you can pray? And I really loved the book Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. And I believe it was there that the sentiment was expressed. What's the difference between when you pray and when Jesus prayed? Jesus knew it was a done deal. That was the difference. He wasn't asking. He knew that his wish was his Father's command. It wasn't like, oh, pretty please, please, pretty please, which is how many people pray. It's like, oh, little me, and oh, big God. It's like, no, you're a child of God. When you pray, however you pray, know that it is done. That is a huge difference from how most people pray, which is begging. Jesus didn't beg. Oh, please, pretty please. You have to know who you are. You have to know what you're capable of. And even though we're capable of the greatest things in the world, we are right now having physical experiences as human beings with the full hue, the full gamut of emotions, the rainbow of emotions. You don't want to eliminate you need to learn how to play them like a piano, like a scale. You don't get rid of the heavy notes, the bass. You incorporate them in balance, and that is what makes life interesting, is the fact that we have heaven and hell, the dark and the light. People want to get rid of the dark. We transmute the dark by growing the light. So processing heavy things is the process of alchemy, turning lead into gold. I'm going to stop there.